All right, so here's section 7. This is about absolute value, both equations and inequalities. We're going to do these the same way, except in the equations from the previous sections, we tried to get the variable by itself. What we're going to do here is we're going to get the absolute value by itself, right? So we want to, if we already need to, if we need to, we have to clear everything else and leave the absolute value by itself. And then we're going to solve it from there. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so the first thing is we recognize that the absolute value is together with a plus 2. So we need to get rid of the plus 2. So we subtract 2. That leaves us with the absolute value of x is equal to 7. Remember, the absolute value is a distance of a number from 0. Okay, so what two numbers are 7 units away from 0? Positive and negative 7. Okay, so that's what we're thinking about. So we're going to graph it by putting a 7 and a negative 7, and then we put a dot on each. Okay, notice that this is an equation, so it says it has to equal those numbers. Right, so we want to get the absolute value equation alone, or the expression with the absolute value. So we'll do the same thing here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the minus 5 by adding 5. And that gets me the absolute value of n is equal to 3. So what could n be? N could be 3, or n could be negative 3. And then when we graph it, we would put 3, negative 3, and then a closed circle in each location. Okay. All right, so these were equations. Let's look at the next set. Okay. Now, remember what we just said about the definition of the absolute value. It means the distance from this has to be positive 13. Okay. From whatever this is to 0 is going to be a distance of 13 away from it, from 0. Okay. There are 2 points that are 13 units away from this. It's either going to be positive 13 or negative 13. So what you see is we're doing 2 different things. We take the stuff out of the inequality, the absolute value, and we set it equal to the positive distance, and we set it equal to the negative distance. Okay. You see how we have the absolute value all by itself. There's nothing else being added or subtracted. Right? So that's how we're going to go through the process of doing these. That's why there are 2 different things needed to be done. Okay. Let's look at a practice. Wait, that's not a practice. So we're getting, oh sorry, that was the rule. Okay, so this is the rule. To solve an equation in the form of the absolute value of a equals b, where a represents a variable expression, so x plus 2, 2x minus 17, and b is greater than 0. This one's important. This one's going to come up later. We'll talk about it. In order to solve this, we're going to do capital A, that's what's in the parenthesis, in the absolute value, equals positive b, and the same thing is equal to negative b. Right? Okay. So this is a little bit reversed, so I'm going to flip it. And it tells me to do 2 things. It tells me to set it equal to 60, and it tells me to set it equal to negative 60. So I'm going to drop the absolute values. I'm going to do 80 minus 5t. And here I'm going to do 80 minus 5t. Okay, and then I'm going to solve them. So I subtract 80. T equals 4. 50 equals positive 4. I subtract 80. Divide both sides by negative 5, and I get 24. Okay, so as I go through this, I'm solving each question the normal way, but remember I'm going to set it equal to the positive version of this number and to the negative version of this number. Sorry, this is an 8. I knew that seemed wrong. Oh, well, caught it myself. All right, I'm going to put up another one for you to practice, and you can know the answer pretty quickly. Okay, now, notice the title of this, Solving an Absolute Value Equation with No Solution. Okay, what are the solutions of all of this? Okay, watch what happens. I'm going to get the absolute value by itself. So I do that by subtracting 12. So I get negative 2. And then I divide everything by 3. 2z plus 9 is equal to negative 2/3. See that right there? Do you remember this rule back here that says b has to be bigger than 0? Yeah, we got a problem. B is not bigger than 0. Remember, absolute value cannot be a negative distance. It's always positive. So therefore, this isn't possible. Okay, so it's no solution. Anytime the value that's by itself opposite the absolute value, anytime it's negative, we can stop. We don't have to do anything else. We are done because it's going to be no solution. So it's a pretty straightforward step. We just have to look for when b is negative. And what that leads to is no solution. If b is positive, remember this is A and this is B. If b is positive, then it means we're going to have an answer. But if b is negative, it means we're not. So I'd like for you to work on this one, even though right now you can probably tell I'm going to add 5 to both sides, and you know the solution at that point. Right? I think I'm going to stop right now and come back and do the extra examples on a separate thing. Okay? So, see ya.